Hey, it's Craig Fisher. I am here with Mike Batman Cohen. Mike, how you doing?
Doing well, Craig. How you doing?
I'm doing good. Mike has been studying a set of social and sourcing tools to determine what's the best recruitment process for him. And he is going to share with us today some of his research, which he's recently presented at HRTX and is now, fortunately for us, going to share here. So, Mike, take it away.
Awesome. Thanks, Craig. Yeah, so I like to go over the general principles of tooling, right? And the thing I always want to start with is AI tooling, right? That's going to be the big deal. Everybody's always asking, all right, so what's the best tool, right? I can't count the number of times I've heard somebody ask that question. So I think first, in order to just go through this, and I'm going to be really quick, right? We all know this is so hot right now. But the truth is, do we know what artificial intelligence really is? Right? And I'll be quick going through this. I know many of you may know what it is, but I really want to hone down on that before we get into like, hey, here's AI tooling for you. It's going to solve all your problems, right? So a lot of people think, oh, is it this like self-automated machine who's gonna, be able to run autonomously from human control? Short answer, no, that's ridiculous, right? Is it the ability for robots and machines to create a basic kind of like reality and living system structure within themselves? No, that's ridiculous, right? Are we even at a point where robots and machines can serve us fast food? Believe it or not, no, that's ridiculous. If you didn't know who that last one was, we'll catch up offline. So if you look up online, hey, what's the definition of AI? You're going to get all of these different definitions. I think the greatest is always from Urban Dictionary, right? Now you can read it. I can't say it out loud on a webinar. But the simplest one to understand is probably the Merriam-Webster definition, which is it's a branch of computer science dealing with the simulation of intelligent behavior in computers. The most important word in that sentence I want people to really understand is the word simulation. They are not creating a computer science service or a machine that does human intelligence. It's supposed to simulate human intelligence. And there's always, as we all know, a difference between a simulation and real life. So let's go over really quick some of the different types of AI that people hear, right? We all hear of reactive machines, limited machines, theory of mind, self awareness. And maybe you haven't heard it in those terms, but I promise you, you've seen this almost every day. These are the different approaches I'm sure most of us have heard of. So, functionalities, reactive machines. We all heard of the when IBM Watson beat the Jeopardy All Star, whose name is escaping me right now. That's a reactive machine. Those are machines who are taught a set piece of information or protocol. They can regurgitate it back out. Limited memory. That's Siri, right? We're using Siri, Cortana, if you're a weird Microsoft user, right? Google Help, the voice commands. Those are all going to be limited memory systems that use your past decisions to inform future decisions. The last two, theory of mind. These are going to be some of the technologies that are able to do more visual recognition, audio recognition. They're really set up to determine your a mood, your emotions, your behavior. That is still way, way, way underdeveloped. And then there is a good old self awareness. This is what everybody thinks of when they think of AI. Guys, this is not AI. That's Terminator from a movie made like a dozen years ago, or probably more now, right? So
Like 30.
functionalities. I'm sure we've heard this, right? Machine learning. This is where machines are. This is like that limited memory, right? They're gonna use past information to generate theories on future information. NLP. How well can computers understand just the natural language, the idioms that we're using? Vision. This is praise God being developed, so that way our Teslas and self-driving cars stay in one lane and don't veer off the road. And then robotics, which have been used for a long, long time. If you think about automobile manufacturers, right? You have those arms that come up and move pieces. So these are all in play right now. So let's talk about AI and tooling in general from a recruiting process, right? I break down the recruiting process into 6 stages. You can say, oh, well, there's other pieces. I really believe that everything fits into one of these 6 stages, right? So, how did tooling help you with each of these, right? Well, let's look at sourcing and messaging first, right? The first 2 stages. This is typically in the sourcing realm if you differentiate between sourcing and recruiting. Here's all kind of the skills and the processes that you go through. So, which one of these can't a computer do? I think I made it pretty clear, right? Computers can't create personal connections. They can't make customized messages. Textio, I love you. It's just you can't get that like that empathetic in depth, right? What can they do? Well, they can produce all of this for you. So take a quick look. If you are spending a ton of time doing any of these 4 things, it might be time to think about automating some of it and investing in some tooling. And some of it you don't even have to invest in. Some of it's free, available on the internet, right? Qualifying and submitting. Again, what can't they do? Data collection. You can't have a robot talk on the phone. They're not going to understand what is being said. They're not going to be able to drill down and use some of those human characteristics, right? Again, how much time are you spending on this stuff? And finally, interviews and offers, right? Robots cannot close candidates on an opportunity. There's zero capability of doing that anytime in the near future. So if you're good at that, hey, great job. Get some job stability. Um, these, again, how automated are these? How much time are we spending doing this every day? So I'll get into this, then I'll open it up for some questions before getting into specific tooling. I think it's important also to understand not what AI can do, but like what can't AI do. There's 3 main areas that most researchers, scientists, and engineers understand to be true. First is reasoning and judgment, right? These are the 2 areas of the process where that comes into play: data collection and closing candidates. By data collection, I mean the qualification call, where we're actually pulling in data. Computers cannot use reasoning. They cannot use judgment. They are operating off of a fixed data set that they can grow over time, but their initial data set is the foundation for which they have all of their understanding. They can't do this. Next, creativity. Robots can use facets of creativity that are learned behaviors that we've inputted as, again, data, but naturally, robots do not have the ability to be creative. And the last one, guys, this is definitely the big one. Robots cannot do empathy. And I'm putting do in air quotes if you can't see that. Empathy is a strictly human understanding. It's the ability, the way I define it, you can listen to Brene Brown if you want to get more in depth with this, but the way I define empathy is being able to meet a candidate where they are. Right? When I talk on the phone, I'm like, "Hey, how are you doing today?" And they're like, "I'm okay." I'm like, "Whoa, hey, what's going on?" Right? "Hey, it sounds like maybe a little bit of a tough day. It's a Friday. Like, talk to me." Right? Machines do not have the ability to do that and won't for the foreseeable future. So, with that, I'll stop there for a couple of seconds. See, Craig, any questions so far? Any direction on my side?
So, Mike, you're doing great. I appreciate and understand the setup here. I think what I am most interested in from here on out for you is, do you have empathy?
Do I do I have empathy? Oh my gosh, do I have empathy? My wife would laugh at that. I'm actually the one in the marriage who watching like reality TV shows like The Voice and
Uh
American Idol. I'm the one just like sobbing during that. She's just looking over like, oh my gosh,
Yeah, I'm with you on that. I'm a little like that myself. That's fun.
I love it, love it. Any other questions? Anything on your side?
No, we're good. Let's go.
All right, let's get into it. All right, guys. So before I get into the what tools are available, how are you assessing? And this is a rhetorical question because you're not on the webinar with me right now. How are you building your use case for tooling? How are you deciding what tooling you need? Forget the actual tool, right? The company who produces it, but like the type of tool. How are you deciding that for yourself? Well, there's 2 things you can monitor. right, to decide where your deficiencies are. One is how hard your employees are working. These are numbers like, well, how many profiles did you view? How many messages did you send? How many interviews did you set up, right? Cool. You should definitely monitor that. You should monitor it for yourself. You should monitor it for people on your team if you're a manager. But all that really shows is how hard you're working, not how efficiently you're working. And if that is the main thing that you're focusing on to track, that's usually a sign of a culture issue, because you're tracking again to make sure people are working hard, and that should be a given in an organization. The big one is how efficiently are you working? How smart are you about this job? And that for me is always going to be the thing I want to track for myself and for others. So work harder, guys, not smarter. Sorry, work smarter, not harder. Forget that last thing I said. Totally not true. Work smarter. If you don't understand the dog running on the treadmill, there's an analogy always made to if you want to produce more, you have two options. One, run faster on the treadmill. Two, add more treadmills. Uh, I'm of the add more treadmills philosophy, right? So this is the work harder stuff we just talked about. Here is the work smarter. So here are going to be your turn rates. I'm going to put them all up on screen really quick. So what I want to look for generally is percentages. That's all I care about, right? Profiles viewed versus messages. You can read what's on the screen. If you need a copy of this or you're more interested in talking about this, I'm happy to go over it. But if you do not have this information right now, that's your first step. Don't say that you need any tooling right now until you can figure out where and why, right? So get this information, figure this out, and then delve into the tooling itself.
That's really good, Mike. I love that.
Thanks. Thank you. It's a pitfall for people to look at just pure numbers,
Hmm.
right? They're like, well, we've sent we could only find 800 profiles this week. We need an AI sourcing tool to find. And it's like, well, do you? Right?
Right.
How many messages did you send?
Yeah.
Well, we sent 40. Okay, well that's 5%. That's
Not
not a
enough.
great turn rate. So let's
Yeah.
look at your Boolean, right? Um, so let's get into it. AI tooling. Let's look at the sourcing tooling first. So these are going to be the four major players in what is referred to as the AI sourcing space. They each have a unique use case that I have found. This is my opinion, but I have been cross-testing them with each other. So HiringSolved, if you have an internal database with a ton of candidates, I'm talking a million, 2 million, 3 million candidates, you're an enterprise, there's only one tool that will let you simultaneously search those profiles and available profiles on the internet at the same time, learning from your past ATS or CRM decisions to find more people. It's HiringSolved every time. HireTool, as a note, it is the number one email finding tool available on the internet. I promise, I've tried them. I've tried Lucia, I've tried Connectifier, I've tried you name it, I've tried it. HireTool is the best. For their AI sourcing platform, they've actually broken it down to be as simple as humanly possible. So I suggest HireTool for teams who maybe are a little more junior, who have people who aren't maybe as skilled in Boolean commands or in advanced search filters. You can drop a job description in there and they can fill in some search fields for you. Great for those sort of firms, right? You hire a lot of junior folks, hire a lot of people who don't get trained on that. Boom, HireTool. Uh, Engage is actually a really, really interesting tool with a very cool skill set. So Engage, they actually hire, I think, geez, 20, 30, and if you're watching this Engage and I have this wrong, I'm so sorry, 20 to 30 data scientists, and they're able to map out entire industries and organizations. So my favorite thing about them, and they do more than just this. On the candidate side, their data scientists will actually share the best tips and tricks to reach out, best subject lines, best keywords to put in phrases, and they work. They're good. On the company side, and this is super cool, they can actually track the company's risk retention rate. And what do I mean when I say that? I mean that they can actually track when companies are more likely or less likely to lose candidates, and they can do it typically before industry knowledge comes out. It's very cool. Their knowledge on companies and industries is unparalleled. Um,
So, my
yeah,
quick question:
yeah.
do you know how they do that? That can't be a completely AI thing. There has to be some of those data scientists saying, "All right, we're looking at macroeconomic trends here that the computer might not necessarily see." Or is it purely that? Is it purely spiders crawling the web for that sort of information?
That is a great question. The answer, believe it or not, is both.
Yeah.
So the data scientists have built the tool around not just candidates,
Mm-hmm.
right? They actually put their company's stock prices
Right.
on the company page. They have an entire section devoted to news on that company. So as news articles are released, they're actually put into the company profile for you to view. They have a scrolling banner up top. So
Mm-hmm.
they've created what we're calling web crawling in this case, right? They've done that both on the candidate job side, but they've also done it on the financial side, and they've done it on the news and social media side,
Mm-hmm.
and on Glassdoor. So
So they
it's
give you a more well-rounded view of the organization and trends that are going to happen there, and when you might be able to get people from those organizations easily, and when it would be a good time to seek out those organizations to tell them, "Hey, I could help you hire."
Yeah, that's 100% accurate. Their best example last year was people on their platform who follow Blackbaud
Mm-hmm.
as a company. They predicted a really rough retention risk rate for Blackbaud in North Carolina. And everybody who followed them got an alert saying, "Hey, you may want to reach out to candidates here." And I think it was like 2 weeks later or 4 weeks later, they announced they were shutting that office down.
Yeah.
So they were able to follow cues, social cues, news, financial things to predict that. It was phenomenal.
Yeah,
Um,
that's great, and I think that's something that we have done manually as recruiters and staffing business owners for a long time. But this is off the charts. That's really cool.
yeah, as I said, it is a super cool tool to use. Um, and then the last one, Seekout, last certainly not least. So I'm not supposed to play favorites, so I won't play favorites, and you can just take that statement to mean whatever you'd like it to mean right now. Um, Seekout has insane search functionality. Insane. They have pre-configured power filters already built in. So if you're on the tech side and you want a front end engineer, they literally have a power filter called front end frameworks, and it will take care of everything for you, putting in the, Angular, Angular.js, AngularJS, React.js, React.js, et cetera, et cetera. Um, the number of filters that they have, I joke with them all the time. They always say, like, we might have too many filters. I'm like, no, 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 no. Perfect.
Mm-hmm.
Leave it.
Right.
It is very, very, very effective. They also have a GitHub search, and the other tools do too. Let's be clear. However, they've gone deeper a little bit in scoring all of the engineers, and they give them a seek out tech score.
Yeah.
And so if you're not super technical or you're not super familiar with how GitHub works and what it means, Seek Out literally lays it out for you in just the easiest terms to swallow.
Yeah, and I like their dashboard too. I like the way they visualize the information and pull it all into one screen for you. It's beautifully done.
Yes, yes, 100% agree. So those are the major AI sourcing tools. We can get into chatbots. I'm not going to spend a lot of time on this, and
Hmm.
here's why. We'd have to go down the road if we're talking about chatbots around the fear of AI, the removal of jobs, the candidate experience concerns, what chatbots can actually do, and it's a very long conversation.
Hmm.
The bottom line is, I believe there was a wise person at HRTX 2 weeks ago who shared that most people, I think the number was 72%, don't actually mind or prefer talking to a robot. Do you remember who that was, Craig?
I think that was me.
Yeah, that was you for sure. That being the case, there is a place for chatbots. It is not everywhere. It's not on every position, and it's not in every company. There are select places where chatbots are super useful.
Hmm.
Um, for more information on that, ping me offline. I'm happy to go over any of this stuff with you. The bottom line is it's just a little bit too much right now to delve into without doing it justice.
Yeah.
Let's get some more AI tools. Scheduling. So this is a big one. If you are spending more than 10 minutes a day or an hour a week on scheduling and calendaring things, stop it. These tools are free. They're free, zero dollars. Okay. They integrate with Outlook. They integrate with Gmail. I don't care what you're on, right? Even if you're not on any of those, it gives you a free link that you can use to send it to people. If you're willing to spend a whopping like $9 or $12 a month, you can brand it for yourself. You can do everything. But guys, use scheduling tools. Send people a link to book time on your calendar and get it off your plate. Stop with the back and forth emails. Stop with all that. Create a template in whatever email thing you're using to input your Calendly or You Can Book Me or XAI link and just get it off your plate. Video interviews. I'm not going to lie, I don't do this. I know HireVue, I know Panya. I've done a bunch of research into both of them, both great companies. As an agency side recruiter, I'm not using video interviews, maybe even as effectively as I could be. I can tell you video interviews are starting to really help with the candidate experience piece. The downside and the only caveat that I have that I know about is be careful that this is not adding a step into your process and elongating your hiring process, because that will unfortunately have the reverse effect and lower the candidate experience that you're having. Craig,
Right.
do you use any of these tools or any video interviewing tools?
We have customers that do, and I've used them all over the years. I've sampled them all and had different customers have great success. And 5 years ago there were, I don't know, 20 of these, and now the field has really narrowed. A lot of these companies are starting to not even exist anymore, and some new ones are popping up. But I think the field is getting a little stronger and narrower.
I totally agree.
Hmm.
Okay, so sliding on writing. Okay, so I'm going to be clear. I don't use Textio. I don't use Textio for two reasons. None having to do with Textio. One, I'm a writer by nature. I love writing, and I do super weird, creative emails to people. Oftentimes not
Yes, you
even
do.
mentioning a job. Yeah, oftentimes don't even mention a job. I'm just like reaching out to network and connect with somebody, and pretty effective for me. The other piece is Textio is great at helping write job descriptions. This is going to freak some people out on this. I haven't posted a job of mine in like 3 years.
Hmm.
I don't do it. I could tell you that I right now would need a tutorial on how to use Indeed. I don't use it. For me, it's a waste of my time. The incoming talent has never been good enough to warrant the time spend. And anybody on this call who's thinking, oh, well, I've made a placement off Indeed, awesome, but do an evaluation of your ROI on that, right? Because most people have recruiters spending 20, 25 hours a week dealing with incoming candidates from Indeed. And if you're making one placement every, I don't know, 2, 3 months off of that, you're losing money. You're losing money. You can just go to an agency and you'd actually save money.
Yeah.
Grammarly, just use it. I'm not going to preface this. It corrects your grammar and spelling on every website. And it's free. So
Yeah.
Use it. Non-AI tools. For all my tech recruiters out there, I have a huge shout out for HumanPredictions. I love them. The company themselves are fantastic. Their founders are super cool, down to earth people. Their customer service is one of the top two of any company I work with, and I'll talk about the other one in a second. If you're a tech recruiting company, this is only tech recruiting. It does not do anything else. So if you do other things, might not be the greatest fit, but if you do tech recruiting and heavy tech recruiting, it's probably the best platform out there. It enables you to do a few things that no other platform on the web does. One, you can search through niche repositories that most people, including myself, by the way, didn't even know about when I got onto the platform. So, Craig, have you done technical recruiting?
For 20 years or so, yeah.
Yeah, a couple times, right?
Yeah.
Okay. So, have you done front end? engineers?
Absolutely.
Have you ever heard of CodePen?
Yeah.
Okay, so you have. Well, you're brighter than the average bear. I've not even heard of CodePen. It is actually a repository, call it a GitHub or a Stack Overflow,
Hmm.
just for front end engineers. It
Yeah.
can search through that repository. So it does the same thing for Kaggle for data scientists. I think it's called Cocoa Puffs for iOS developers,
Yep.
etc. And they have them for everything. DevOps, NPM for JavaScript developers. The other thing it does, it pulls from multiple different social sites, right? So, yay, LinkedIn, yay, Facebook, yay, Twitter. I get it. The cool thing about Human Predictions is they don't seed from LinkedIn, meaning the place that they go first is not LinkedIn. So, where else do they pull from? You can go right to people's GitHub profiles, cool ish. You can go to their Stack Overflow profile, pretty cool. But you can also go to their Meetup profile. You can see every meetup that they're in. You can go to their Pinterest profile, their Flickr profile, Foursquare, About Me. You can see conferences that they've spoken at. It is super in depth. It's a fantastic tool, fantastic customer service. For in tech recruiting, I'd suggest checking this one out.
So that funnel example that I showed at HRTX, I used human predictions actually to do that exercise the first time we did it. It worked great.
Yeah, yeah, I'm glad you had that experience too. I once I saw it, I saw a demo of it. I was like, holy smokes, like this is really good.
Yeah.
So yeah, that's my suggestion on the tech side. Contact info. Everybody asks, what's the best one for contact info? It's HireTool. Period. Lead 411, I put up there as the top. If you like getting phone numbers, cell phone numbers, office numbers, Lead 411 has more phone numbers than any other platform out there. And I think that this June, they're going to be up to like 15 million or 25 million direct dial, like mobile phone or direct dial office numbers, which is insane. So if that's what you're into, check out Lead 411. If you're in the biz dev space and watching this for some reason, kudos on you for doing that. And here's your takeaway. Lead 411, check it out. More non-AI tools. So behavioral analytics. I'm going to take a hot second on this. Whenever I ask anybody, like, hey, how important is culture fit? Right? You always get the no one's going to be like, we don't care, right? They can be a jerk. Everyone says, oh, it's really important. I'm like, great. How are you testing that? Right? Like, well, we ask behavioral based interview questions. I'm like, cool. All right. But how are you testing it? Right? Like, you're giving hacker rank tests and drilling people on whiteboards and putting them through all these different code reviews. How are you testing the culture? Right? At the bare bones minimum, people rate culture at 20 to 25% of the importance of the job. And they're not even testing it. So I use tools. I do not use Crystal. I'm going to preface that. I found it to be slightly inaccurate for what I needed. It does disc profile assessments, and unfortunately for them, my wife is an employee engagement strategist, so she owns a company that does that. So I was able to directly cross compare. So sorry, Crystal. Also, my wife's name is Crystal, which is very confusing in this conversation. So I'm going to move on. So the top icon you see there is called Deep Sense. This is a top of funnel tool that I use. It analyzes publicly available profile data across the entire internet to give you background information on the candidate. Some brief archetypes, do's and don'ts on how to communicate, motivations, and it even pulls a DISC and an ocean assessment on the candidate. I found this to be fairly accurate. Very, very impressive tool to help me reach out to candidates. Human intelligence I use on the back end, so either later stage or once they're onboarded. It's like a 10 to 12-minute test you take, and it is amazingly in depth. You can compare to your team, you can benchmark against your team. The hiring manager will have access to see all of this. It's unbelievably comprehensive as a tool. And neither of them are super expensive. So I encourage that. This is the big one for me. So you'll see that little teddy bear. If you can still see my camera, great. If you can't, you'll see it at the very end. I have that teddy bear on my shirt. And with with all deference to all the other tools that I've talked about, and I love them, Interseller is the one tool that I can't live without.
Hmm.
I could live without every other tool, right?
Agree.
And here's the reason, guys. Interseller is email automation, but at a super, super, super high level. To be clear, Mixmax and HubSpot do this as well. I don't think they do it as well as Interseller does.
Hmm.
And here's why. So first off, email automation. How often are we following up with our candidates, right? I don't know if we know this, but PwC put out a study last year. That's PricewaterhouseCooper put out a study last year saying that most candidate responses come between 7 to 11 points of contact. Now, to be clear, a point of contact does not mean 7 to 11 emails. A profile view, point of contact. Connecting on LinkedIn, point of contact. Connect on Twitter, right? But you're looking at least 5 to 7 emails. Are you sending 5 to 7 emails? And right now, I know that you're either rolling your eyes or shaking your head no. And that's cool. I get it. Right? That's a pain in the butt. How do you track that? Right? Easy. Interseller. You write up all your emails first, create a campaign, super customizable. They have really cool ones too. So, first name, title, company. They also have day of the week. So you could say like, hey, first name, how's your day of the week going so far? Life still good at company, right? And it's super customized sounding, right? Um, Here's the kicker with Interseller. This is actually the other company that I was saying has unbelievable customer service. I'm talking about when you use their intercom button on their webpage. It's like a sub 5 minute response rate. It's unbelievable. Um, and so here's Interseller, right? You can create your campaigns, great. It also integrates with LinkedIn. So on the LinkedIn profile, recruiter, regular, professional, doesn't matter. You click the Interseller button, it will find their personal email address. And from that page on a sidebar, you can add them to the campaign that you just made or any campaign. And from that sidebar, you can also customize your first message while looking at their LinkedIn profile. And if that wasn't the most awesome thing you've heard all morning or afternoon, I guess, whenever you're listening to this, it also integrates with your ATS. So if that candidate isn't in your ATS, Interseller will automatically add them to your ATS and track all of the emails in your ATS. I love it. I love it. I love them. They're fantastic. Even more. Web scraping, I'll be real quick. Data miner, super bulky to deal with. Great if you're a software engineer, I guess. ZapInfo, one of the cooler tools I've ever used. Again, the people who own this company, Doug and Lynette, if you're listening, I love you. ZapInfo is amazing. If you like Facebook sourcing, or you're wondering, oh, well, how would I even do that? ZapInfo, short answer. They do web scraping, so they'll pull everybody off of a search page. They'll enrich it with LinkedIn profiles and email addresses. You can send email directly from the program or the Chrome extension. You can build Boolean commands right in the Chrome extension. You can verify emails in the Chrome extension. They even have like templates they call zaplets that you can input on any page on the internet where you're writing with a cursor. It's unbelievable. So if you have like a custom template you like sending when you add a contact on LinkedIn, you can click on the Chrome extension, click Zaplet, add it, and boom, it populates it right in there. Click send. It's phenomenal. And I don't know if they're going to be so happy about this, but they are so inexpensive, guys. I'm telling you, it's $40 a month, right? Skip out on coffee once a week, and you can afford ZapInfo without skipping a beat. It's awesome.
It's so I did one of these calls with Doug a couple of days ago, and found that for my global team, ZapInfo also now has a GDPR compliance opt-in that you can automatically send to everyone you're trying to connect with, and that it saves that opt-in across your organization so that when someone else wants to connect with that person, you don't have to send them another consent. It just automatically will pop up in the system and say, yeah, we've already got this covered, which to me is amazing, and will save
Yeah.
my global team a lot of time.
Yeah, can't speak highly enough of it. I love it. I love it, love it, love it. Oh, and it integrates with your ATS, so you can throw that whole spreadsheet right into your ATS, export to a CSV. It's very cool tool.
Yep.
Call transcription. I use Call Assistant. Very affordable. The company's again really great, supportive. And here's why I use this. So it records my calls and then transcribes them to me. And you can go in and listen to each section. It tells you who's talking at each section. And if you're wondering, well, why do you do that? A, in case I forget something, I want to go back and double check without having to ask again. B, when you're screening candidates who do things that you don't really understand, they're at some point gonna say some things that sound super cool, but that you don't even know what to write down. Right? You're like, I have no idea what they just said, but that sounds awesome. I'll go into the call transcription, copy and paste that, or send the audio file to the hiring manager and say, hey, here's the question I asked. Here was their answer, verbatim, not me as a recruiter kind of making it sound good. No, here's exactly what they said. Hiring managers freak over that because it's direct from the horse's mouth, so to speak. Facebook searching. If you're not doing it, here's 2 free tools. Do it. Go to peoplefindthor.dk or download the Chrome extension, Intelligence Search. It's free. Do it. Video messaging. I use Loom. It's free. Again, it's a Chrome extension. You can video record yourself. For me, I use it as like a 4th or 5th message where I'll say like, hey, Craig, it's Mike again. I know I've tried reaching you a few times. Man, listen, I know you're probably doing well at AGS, but I've got this junior sourcing role at this oil and gas company I think you'd be a great fit for. And then you can actually send that video off in an email. So it's right there. They can click it, watch it, gets really great responses. Last piece is I'm going to be real quick. Guys, user adoption is a huge deal. So many people get back to me and say, yeah, I tried that. It didn't work. I promise you it works, right? You're not that random use case where this doesn't work, unless you are, but that's very, 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 very rare. So focus on your data integrity, your sync of data between your platforms, and how clean and updated you're keeping your data. This is going to help your team actually adopt it because they're going to see the value in using it. Create an ecosystem. Fears around AI. Guys, I know some people are scared of this. AI, if used correctly, which I understand that's definitely a concern, the goal would be to create more efficiency and more productivity. If AI creates more productivity or more efficiency in the job itself, more jobs will open up and the job market as a whole will remain unaffected. Yes, it may affect blue collar jobs. It may affect certain areas, but as a whole, as a job market, as a socioeconomic infrastructure, we will be okay. Right? Automation versus productivity. That's what I just said. Robotic workforce. If you do any of the research, which I'm happy to send you, it's right here. People don't believe that full automations like robotics capable of doing all of our jobs is at the bare bones minimum 104 years from now. Anybody listening to this call right now, you're not going to be here. So let it go. Unless you are, but that'd be amazing. I want to know what you're eating, right? Candidate experience, I talked about that already. It actually gets better candidate experience. And here's my info. If you have any questions, reach out, screenshot this quick, take a picture. It's only going to be up for 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. That's it.
Mike, you rock. Thank you so much. This has been amazing, and more to come.
Thanks, man. I definitely appreciate it. This was a great time.